Adam. How you doing? Hope you're having a good weekend. Said, how you doing? Howdy, howdy. Samuel, how you doing? I made a start on a Jeremy. Hi. Made a start on another pipe. So I'm using super glue, so I had gloves on still. It's going to be a really big pipe actually. It's going to get me in the sort of pocket magnum region, possibly even a magnum. Should be a nice pipe. Hey Oscar. Just finishing up a pipe, Adam. Good for you. What shape? Hey Bartek, how you doing? Patrick. Hope you're all well. Hope you're all having a good weekend so far. I was actually earlier on. I was looking back at one of my old videos. Somebody commented on I did a tutorial, sort of a very basic on how to smoke a pipe. I don't remember how long ago it was, maybe a year ago or so. And somebody left a comment. I guess it's one of those kind of videos that's just, going to be watched for a long time because people are searching out tutorials for, how to smoke a pipe. It's had a few thousand views, nothing fantastic, but it's had a good few thousand views. So I always find it interesting when an old video gets a comment. Sometimes I just look back at them, and it was fun to look back at. If I go back through my channel, go back through my old videos, and just look at the pipes that I had, which I would say if I look at my pipes that I have now and pipes that I had say 5 years ago, it would look very different. Obviously I make pipes now, so a big part of my regular rotation are pipes that I've made. But I've got rid of a lot of pipes. I've had some new pipes come in, maybe not at the same kind of pace as I used to acquire pipes. A lot of the pipes that I acquire nowadays are not for me, are therefore, maybe refurbishing and selling on and that kind of thing. But it's just fun to look back at, you guys who are presenters, you should do the same once in a while. Go back through your videos and see the types of pipes that you had at the time. Maybe your collections are exactly the same, just with additional new pipes. Maybe you've gotten rid of some. Maybe there's some there which you'd like to have back. I just find it's a fun thing to do. I don't do it very often, but when I do it, I do enjoy it. Oh, cheers, Nathaniel. Thank you for yours. Well, I would say not just a wide bowl, Jeremy, but also a wide draft hole. The key is to have as much oxygen getting to your ember, to the lit part of the tobacco. So if you have a wider bowl, there's more oxygen is getting to it, but at the same time the ember is bigger, so it needs more oxygen. So that may not necessarily always be the answer. For me, I think a big answer is the draft hole, because that gives you throughput, so oxygen is getting to it from going right through the tobacco, and that way it's oxygenating it much better. You're actually getting a good bit of oxygen underneath the ember as well. And what you end up having is a flow of air. And once you have a flow of air, hey Bombus, once you have a flow of air, then that is going to help your pipe stay alight. A small draft hole is probably the biggest killer of the ember. I actually shipped all the pipes that I'd sold, except for yours, because whenever I do Justin, whenever I do a lacquer on a pipe, I always like to have it sit for a few days. I actually took it this evening to show my dad. There's your pipe. So in case any of you haven't seen this is a copy, but it's certainly inspired by the Stanwell 2001 Pipe of the Year. I think I still have the picture here. So this is the original pipe. I have actually had one of these. That's the original pipe, and that's my version of it, which is almost identical. The only thing which is different, you've got the nice smooth areas. This one didn't have a. Sorry, I'm standing over the paper, but there's nothing there. This one didn't have a. The original didn't have a smooth base. The only thing different here is this area here, which I know Bullmoose isn't excited about, which is that this area here is thicker because of the various disasters that I had in the last week. So I guess I could revisit it and maybe try and thin it out a little bit. My problem with that is that this area here, this flange, this flared area, is going to end up getting ruined. And this is always, I do that on the lathe. And this reverse area, it's not polished to the same extent as this area for the same reason. So it won't look as high gloss as the rest of it, but you don't see that because it's on the reverse side. So I prefer not to mess with it, to be honest. But as I say, when it's lacquered, I like it to sit for a few days to fully cure before I send it out. Yeah, I know. It's just that the only reason why I was considering it is simply because of how much you oh right, you said I shouldn't ship it anyway, didn't you? It's because I know you wanted it to look thin and sleek. That's the only reason why I'm thinking of revisiting it. Otherwise, I wouldn't even think about it. But at the same time, I don't want to risk it, so I have to think on it. I have to also see if I've got another silver ring, just in case I do it and I mess it up and I have to make yet another stone. I've got to make sure I've got a spare. Yeah, I do have another one. It's my last one. I have to order some more. That's my last one. So, I've got other sizes, but not that's going to fit that. All right, that's a little emergency, I suppose. Actually, what I should do, come to think of it, is actually leave this stem as it is and make another stem. And if it works out, all well and good. I give it to you, and I'll keep this for another pipe. I'll be able to use this anytime. I think that actually makes the most sense, instead of wrecking that, then doing another one and possibly wrecking that. So I should leave this as it is, and then maybe just do another stem. I'll have a think about that, because this is, in my books, it's kind of done and dusted, been paid for, and that's it. I don't like to mess around too much, but I might give that some thought. We'll see. I'm not committing to it, Justin. I might. We'll see. Obviously, I want you to be happy, so I'll give it some thought. Yeah, I mean, I generally, when I've done a pipe, I don't like revisiting it and going, it never ends otherwise, but it's a stem that I can use, so we'll see. These ones turn off first. Twist so it doesn't come off. Hey Jeffrey. Yeah, of course you can ask questions. More the merrier. Somebody else asked the question I missed before. Is Jeremy. Do you think tapered versus U-shaped more matters with these blends that are difficult to keep lit? I've not experienced the problem myself, but logic would tell me that a U-shape would be better if you're having trouble keeping it lit. I would also look at the tobacco itself and make sure that it's not too humid. That might be something to look at as well. Yeah, I call him Charlotte, Johnny. Yeah, he does like that pipe, he really does. He commissioned that pipe a few years back, and he does like that pipe. Have I ever smoked Captain Black? Not sure, I might have done. I might have done. I don't remember. Yeah, it's kind of a friendly banter that I have, and I call him Charlotte. Everybody else calls him Onion, I call him Charlotte. And he likes that too. Nastrovia, is that the right word? Or cheers, L'chaim. Not that I'm getting paid by Coke, but Coke Zero has replaced Diet Coke in my as one of my favourite drinks. Perestroika. Not really. That was old. What's his name? What was his name? The one with the map on his forehead. What was his name? Gorbachev, yeah. Thank you, McPhil. He turned out to be pretty decent in the end, didn't he? Old Gorbachev. Mikhail. Not that it's turned out well in the end. Seems to be going back to the Cold War times. Or gone back, I should say. Coke Zero, I assume that's your typo, Coke Zero. Not so cold, no. Hey, Chad. I don't know. When all that fired up, you know, after COVID, you know, it just was leading, you know, to that Armageddon kind of thoughts. I suppose I should fire up something. Let's see. I have this, I was going to leave this for after a pipe. This is Paul Larniaga Galanis, which is a very nice cigar actually. Hum, 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 hum. Oh, you know what I'm going to try? So, this is McBaron Latakia Rolls. This is from December 2020. So, 3 years old. When I first smoked it, I didn't like it. It was too campfire for me. I have dipped into it a couple of times since then, but I haven't smoked it for a good while now. And I'm waiting for this to sweeten up a little bit. Maybe it never will, I don't know. But I also thought that because it was the rolls, it kind of came out at the same time as the vanilla roll cake kind of came back in. And I thought maybe, hey Mike. And I thought maybe it would have been made in a similar vein, just with Latakia. So I was hoping for that nice bready kind of flavour to go with it, but I didn't get that at all. It's still got a very campfirey aroma, but it's definitely darker than it was. And the aroma is a little bit smoother, So I'm going to give it a shot, and but I'm not going to put a lot in the pipe because I'm not expecting any great shakes, and if I really like it, then I can load another pipe, I guess. So are you empty nest syndrome, Mike, these days? Or have you still got somebody at home? Besides for your good lady. Because we seemed, for a couple of years ago, we seemed to be forever watching your kids graduate and do well in whatever it was they were doing, swimming, and was it gymnastics? Was it possibly gymnastics? I don't recall, maybe both. No, the Rosebud is not for Latakia. The Rosebud is a Virginia pipe. Latakia pipes that I've got to hand are my Fabrizio Natalizia, my Boswell, which was one of my earliest pipes. What else? Well, I haven't smoked Big Phil's pipe in a while, but that's not. I'm not going to make that Latakia. We have Phil's pipe. They have flown the coop. Hey Sandro, ciao. That's Phil Rivera's calabash. Might try it in there. We have my Canadian, LCS Canadian, with that fiery stem, beautiful stem. I did have that up for sale at one point, but I ended up keeping it. And there is the one and only sandblasted LCS pipe, if I can see it somewhere. Where is it? There's another Boswell, which I can see, which is a Latakia pipe. There it is. And that's the only LCS sandblasted pipe that I have left, which is, well, sandblasted. That's an LCS, the others were all sold. Hey Prep Man, how you doing? Sorry to hear that, Justin. Wish you better. Wishing you a swift recovery. I have a Jason Mouton Lavat, which I don't really smoke very much. I wonder, maybe I'll give some Latakia a try on that. I wasn't enjoying Virginia's in it, hence I haven't smoked it very much. Although it's a bit silly because I won't really get to know, because I won't get the right flavours. I'm going to leave that. This one's sitting in my drawer. It's a Stanwell, a beautiful tight ring grain, but it's not a Latakia pipe, but it's sitting in my drawer nonetheless. Right, okay, enough of that. I would say that these two are probably smoked the most, and out of the two, this is probably even more. You can see how small that chamber is that needs reaming. Well, that's going to give me the best flavour, I think, so I'm going to smoke that one. Yeah, if you got a good Stanwell, they're really great. Got a lot of time for Stanwell pipes, but I just like the aesthetic of them, which is why I buy so many of them. I don't end up keeping them necessarily, but I enjoy picking them up and then deciding, will I keep it, won't I keep it. I mean, you've seen the two that I picked up recently. Stunning pipes, both of them. You may not have seen them. I showed them only on a live. I haven't done them in a video yet. Evening, Jim. You gave your Stanwells away. Why'd you do that, Chad? Well, I guess it depends on which ones you had, but still. Piper X, how you doing? So I have had some new Stanwells in. These two you've seen already, or some of you will have seen, but I don't mind showing them again if anybody's interested. But I haven't shown these ones. This is a Millennium Edition pipe of the year. This is not a filtered pipe, but it was in such gorgeous condition that I picked it up, and it'll get a new home soon at some point. I say this is not a filtered pipe. You've got a beautiful vertical grain there. It's in beautiful condition, really mint condition. And I think it's even had a new bowl coating in there. Hey, back country. The 2005. Believe it or not, at the moment, I literally only smoke one Stanwell, which is why I kind of want to start keeping one or two of them for myself, but I have so many financial pressures that I just need to sell them. And this one is 9mm. The silver on it's a panel pipe, obviously, as you can see, with silver rim and a silver band. And this is pipe of the year 1992. And this one is 9mm. So it's a contender. I will say this, if I would have kept all the Stanwells that I've ever gone past through my hands, I'd probably have one of the best Stanwell pipe of the year collections anywhere. And I know there are people out there who have every single pipe of the pipe of the year. I wouldn't have had all of them, but I would have had a good stab at it. This is so nice, so well balanced. Oh wow, Chad, you're too generous. I think you were talking about yourself in your recent video. 49 grams. Smells very clean. Really, really nice pipe this. I am a bit of a magpie. I do like things which are a bit glitzy, which this one is. Good looking pipe. Yeah, I mean, you can't beat the silverwork on the pre-2008, 2009. I agree. They're just stunning, the silverwork. This is just for those who haven't seen these. These are, they come from the Borup collection, which is, from what I'm told, this is a collection from the Stanwell factory. Before they went to Italy, they had a production pipe of each model, and there was a collection of those pipes, which were prototypes, I should say, not production models. Now, I don't know how true that story is, but that's what these are anyway. So this one is beautiful sandblast. Hey Ian, long time no see. Another beautiful sandblast ring grain on that. This is unsmoked, it's old stock unsmoked, as I say, from that collection which came from the Stanwell factory. And silver and brass. And then a silver ring there. A very interesting profiling on this stem here. I don't know if you can see that. So you've got that sort of half moon, that crescent there, and it kind of comes to a point over there. It's an interesting shape that I've not seen that use, that kind of shaping on a Stanwell stem before. Like I say, it's unsmoked. What does it say on it? So this one looks like it was made for Peter Heinrich, and it says Tawny on it. 2001. So this must have been a pipe of the year for Peter Heinrich. 2001. Stanwell made pipes for lots of tobacco shops, for tobacconists. And Peter Heinrich, I've had a lot of Stanwell Peter Heinrich pipes, so I know that was a thing. They definitely did year pipes. I don't know if they still do or not, or if it still exists even. I think it still exists, Peter Heinrich, but I might be wrong. And finally, this one, which is a little bit similar to the pipe I just showed you, to that one. A little bit. But it's, I guess it's an apple, but the blast on this is just mind-blowing. Look at that. Look at it! There was another phrase involving grain that I was about to use, but it's a naughty phrase, so I didn't use it. So I'm sure some of you can guess. Got some nice bird's eye on here, but one thing with Stanwell's, their staining was quite dark. So you miss out on some really nice grain sometimes. And this has some really nice bird's eye. This one says Stanwell made in Denmark, and that's all it says. What does it say on the box? Baroque pipe. Assembly 7 something OG 9 mil. Yeah. Well, I might want to sell it. I'm not sure I want to get rid of it, but it'll be hard for me to part with that one, I must be honest. But you're always welcome to make an offer. And always, the worst thing that can happen is I'll say no. But I haven't thought on it at all yet as to whether I'm keeping any of them, selling them all. You know, I think that as I get nearer my daughter's wedding, I think I'll be selling a lot of stuff. Alright, so I think we can load up. Back in the day, when I first started buying pipes, I was very, very much into Boswell pipes. I used to be on their website the minute he used to upload them. And after a while they started loading pictures on Instagram on the Sunday night. So you kind of got a preview of what was going to be loaded. And it would be a firefight as to who could pay and pull the trigger faster. Back in those times, way before I was even thinking about making pipes, I bought Boswell pipes very regularly. Now I have a handful of them. I have maybe 4 or 5 of them. But there was a time when I probably had about maybe 15 of them, something like that. And this one was one of the first ones that I bought. So this one is dated 2016, so 7 years ago at least. So that was within my first couple of years on the YTPC. But you can see why I went for it. Just look at that flame grain, stunning grain, and all that bird's eye on the base there. I mean, I've been tempted to sand this and restain it myself and to really get that grain popping, but it would be so be a bit of a philistine if I did that, because it's Boswell, so I should really leave it as it was. But even without that, it still shows wonderful grain. I thought this was only a small amount of tobacco, but it might even be too much for this because it's really quite clogged up. And they are when Jim Boswell, he drills them with a very, very steep V. So you have some tapered bowls, but they'll still have a little bit of a U at the bottom. I'll show you what I mean. So this is a tapered drill bit, but you can see there's still a U at the bottom. His one was, but his one's come to a very sharp point at the bottom. Cool, Chad's getting in on the Hebrew. Tistakil al gargar hazeh. Look at this. What's gargar? I'm not sure what that is. Grain. Oh right, okay. Oh yes, thank you. You're funny. You're a funny guy, Chad. You're a mushroom. A fun guy. You're mentioning the unmentionable. I miss him actually, because you need a little bit of something to get you going sometimes, And I could never tell with him. I could never tell. Obviously, a lot of it was in jest and ironic and provocative deliberately, but I could never tell which angle it came from. I could never work him out. If he was deliberately provocative, or if that's what he felt a lot of the time. But I still think that he was good fun. Yeah, Phil's getting all Hebrew on you. All the pro. Oh, I better not go there. It says Lo Hayiti Adam Ashir, which is I wasn't a man. Ashir? What's Ashir? rich. Oh, Osher. Oh, your translation hasn't worked out very well. If I was a rich man. Im hayiti ashir. If I was a rich man, is what you should have said. Lo hayiti adam. What did you write? Lo hayiti adam ashir reads, to him I was a rich man. Something like it's close, but not quite there. Well, so far, so good. It is so much smoother than the last time I smoked it. Wow. So if anybody wondered whether time improves tobacco, there's a good example. Well, improve is subjective. Some people might like it robust and smoky and barbecuey. I don't. I like a smooth latakia. Ooh, that is nice. Well, there you go. McBrown Latakia roll cake. Just give it 4 years. Hatta Iska. I'm no rabbi, but if I remember correctly, let me just do a quick search so that I'm on the right track, and then I can, if I'm on the right track, then I can explain it to you. Yeah. Yeah, I did roughly have it right. So, according to Jewish law, we're not allowed to loan money for interest from one Jew to another. The problem with that is that you end up not being able to help people out. So you can't charge interest to another Jew. And the problem with that is that people weren't helping each other out when they needed money to, I don't know, start a business or buy a property or make a wedding. So people would never lend each other money because they were scared they would never get it back. I wouldn't say they never would. Obviously, people who knew each other, whatever, they would, but there was a reduction. So therefore, the Heta Iska was brought about. It was a document which circumvented that law, that rule, by way of making it a business transaction. I don't know the details of it, the minutiae of it, but essentially it allowed people to get to loan money, if you like, but without it being interest. Why and how, I don't know. You'd have to study it. One thing that, the more and more you get into Judaism, whilst, a lot of people on the surface consider it to be a very restricted lifestyle, but in reality, it is compared to, in a superficial way, certainly it is more restrictive, but there is a central tenet throughout the rules and regulations, is that you're not given anything, any kind of restriction, anything that you can't cope with in life. So if it's something which hampers normal, reasonable lifestyle, then there's usually a rule which allows you find a way around it. And you know, and with the ages, the I'm not talking about, you know, ultra extremist kind of people. I'm talking about the average, and that's a very loaded word. But the average, and the same goes in any religion really. Um, you There's interpretation, and you rely on the rabbinical leadership, if you like, of your generation to guide you how to interpret the laws and regulations of the religion. And we've had these discussions before. Hey, Poe. Um, so, for instance, one of the things I can't do on the Sabbath, on a Saturday, from Friday sundown until Saturday sundown, I can't switch the light on. In actual fact, I had that problem today. Funnily enough, my electricity went out at around 9:30 this morning. My whole house just went clunk. So I had to reset, but I'm not allowed to do that on the Sabbath. So some people might say, well, perhaps you can get a non-Jew to do it, or you can find somebody else to do it that doesn't have that restriction or whatever. But I just decided to leave it. You know, the freezer wasn't going to defrost in a matter of, the Sabbath was going to be going out in about 7 hours. So the freezer's not going to defrost in 7 hours, and what's in the fridge will last fine for 7 hours. We just had to remember to just not open the fridge too much. We did have some food on the go, which was for the Sabbath meal, but you know, we had a stew, which was a cholent, as some of you might have heard that word, which was in a crock pot, an electric crock pot, which that would have stayed hot for a good while, and that was it. I think that's all that was hot, really. So we decided not to look for any leniences, and we just decided to ride it out, and we had a very enjoyable time. But as it started to get dark, near sundown, we started to tell ghost stories. The house was completely dark. I was there with my wife and 3 of my kids. 4 of my kids. No, 3. One of them was sleeping. The oldest one. Actually, the young lady is due to get married. She was asleep. So 3 of my kids, and we started to tell not ghost stories, but scary stories. I can repeat to you the one that my 15-year-old daughter said. It's quite a cool story, actually. No problem, Jay. Do you want to hear the story? So, there's this guy who's in prison, and he's desperate to break out. And he just didn't know how to do about it. And he was thinking of ideas, one idea after another, and each one kept turning him away. And during this process, he had become very friendly with the kind of a caretaker, repairman kind of guy in the prison. And he got to the point where the guy figured that he's got nothing to lose. He's going to confide in this caretaker. So he goes, when they were sitting down during one of their little smoke breaks or whatever, that the prisoner was allowed every so often, he tells this caretaker that he's desperate to break out. He's tried so many times, never managed. But he can't come up with an idea. It just so happened that the caretaker had had enough of working in the prison, and he was, for whatever reason, he was unhappy, and he said, you know what, I'll help you. He said, let me think about it. Next time we have our chat, I'll see if I can come up with an idea. So obviously the inmate can't wait for that to happen, and eventually they get together again, and they're talking about what they could be doing. So the caretaker says, "I've got a plan for you." He says, "You know, we've got hundreds and hundreds of prisoners here, and out of even thousands, whatever it is, and every week at least one or two people pass away, and the coffin has to be taken out of the prison and taken to the local graveyard for burial. I imagine this prison wasn't big enough to have its own graveyard. At least not in my imagination." He says, "My job is to load the body into the coffin. I take the coffin, I put it on a wagon, and I drive the wagon out to the graveyard, and I bury the coffin. What I can do is get you into the room where the dead body is, and when I load the dead body into the coffin, I'll load you in there too. I will take you out, I'll bury you under the ground, take a box of matches, take something to eat or whatever. I'll put a very loose covering of earth over the coffin, and I won't nail the lid on too tight. You'll be able to breathe. Whatever the case may be, I'll make sure that you'll be able to breathe." So they agreed, fine, that's what the plan's going to be. Next time he's going to do that delivery of body out of the prison, he's going to let him know, get him a message, and he should be ready and get him to that room. So lo and behold, next time a couple of people die, he tells him, get to that room. He gets him into the room, and sorry, telling it slightly wrong. This may actually give away the story. They have a plan whereby he gets him into the room and he himself has to get into the coffin. The caretaker only meets him outside. Anyway, never mind that. He gets into the room, he lies down in the coffin, he sees the body next to him in the coffin. He can't actually see what's inside the coffin, he just feels that there's another bag in there. He gets in the coffin, pulls the lid on top of him, and he just lies and waits. After a short amount of time, he hears some footsteps, somebody comes in, puts the lid on the thing, nails it in, and puts him on the trolley. Wheels the trolley out, takes him out, he feels the bump of the road driving off to the graveyard, and he feels them putting the coffin into the hole in the grave, and he hears all the earth being shoveled onto the coffin, and shovel after shovel after shovel, and he starts to get a bit breathy. He said, "That's a bit odd, I'm running out of oxygen here," and still more shovel, more earth, and suddenly it stops, and he hears them patting down the earth and then walking off. And all the time the air is getting thinner and thinner and thinner. He started to get a bit heady. So he says, what's going on here? There's something wrong here. There should be a pipe or something for me to be able to breathe. This is wrong. He pulls out his box of matches. He lights one of the matches, and he pulls open the top of the bag, and who has he got there lying next to him but the caretaker? My story wasn't as good, but I got a kick from my wife because it was too scary for the kids. Is that the end of the story? Is that in the comments? Did it hurt the whatever, you know what I mean? The last sentence was, he lit a match and looked inside the bag next to him, and there he saw was the face of the caretaker. Troy plans on living forever. Good luck with that, Troy. Oh, well done, Perrin. So my story is 4 guys, two boys and 2 girls. They go on their nights. They decide to go for some chills and thrills. They like pulling teeth here. They decide to go for a drive in the forest. Well, not just any forest. This is a very dark, scary forest. And there have been stories about axe murderers roaming free in that forest. I should turn the light off, really, shouldn't I? They're driving along in the forest. As they're driving, it's getting deeper and denser and darker. And they're feeling the whole night closing in on them as they're getting deeper and deeper and deeper. Suddenly, chug, 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 the car grinds to a halt. And they all scream. He has a look at his petrol gauge and he sees that they're out of petrol. They're out of gas, if you're in America. And it wasn't an electric car. So they didn't know what to do. They're kind of thinking, you know, maybe we'll wait it out. We'll wait till the morning. But they were too scared. So the 2 men were voted on by their women, of course. Equality hadn't reached that forest, and the men had to go and get help. So, as the men prepared to go, they said to the girls, lock the door and do not open the door for anyone unless you hear our voices. And off the 2 guys go to try and get some help. The girls lock the door. They still had a little bit of light. There was still some battery left in the car. They put the heater on as it was very cold. And of course, sure enough, after a while the battery died. So they had no light and no heating. And they were terrified. It was pitch black. And then it started to rain. Pitter patter on the roof. Pitter patter, pitter patter, pitter patter. An hour or 2 goes by. The rain is getting stronger and stronger. And they were getting worried their boyfriends hadn't come back yet. And the rain seemed to be getting stronger and stronger. And there seemed to be this bang, 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 like that, on the top of the car. A consistent banging like that on the top of the car. And they thought, I don't know, maybe it started to hail, but it just kept on going, bang, bang, bang. And they were too terrified to go out and check what it was. All night long, bang, bang, bang on the top of the car. It was a long, hard night for them. The 2 men hadn't come back yet. The sun rose, the weather cleared. They decided to get out of the car. They get out of the car. They look up above the car. What do they see? Their 2 boyfriends hung from the tree, headless, and their feet going on the roof of the car. I'm not seeing anything in the comments. Yes, Sandra, you're right. She was right. Hey, Robert, how you doing? Do I see that you have some vanilla roll cake to try, and you've not tried it before? Well, it's worth waiting till you're better because it really is a good tobacco. You disliked the first story better. I like that. Chris Kelly is going to take it to another level, I'm pretty sure. He's the Dark Lord. I mean, you look at some of his pipe creations, unbelievable. The slugs and then, ugh. I mean, they're beautiful pipes, don't get me wrong. His craft work is phenomenal. His carvings are great. Out of the Todenskål wooden matches. I agree, they are good matches. They do two sizes. They do a regular size and this size, which is slightly longer. And they're just great for pipes. They just last that little bit longer for lighting your pipe. Lefty Me says Danish pipes, ooh, matches. Ooh. There was a time when I was having difficulty striking these, but I think they're okay now. The tips, the sulfur tips, kept on flying off and burning stuff. Literally, they're quite dangerous, really. But I haven't had that problem recently. Yeah, there were plenty of women in my life who we called auntie. They weren't my aunties at all. It seemed like any of my mother's friends were called auntie. But my parents were quite, my mother especially, was quite strict on respect. And we had to call our aunts by aunt and uncle, with their name, but still prefixed with uncle and aunt. And I still call all of my aunts auntie this and auntie that and uncle that. Funnily enough, more the aunties than the uncles. Kind of a bit of a mix with the uncles, but yeah, no, I think all of them we call uncle and aunt, except one uncle who's very, very chilled, so we call him just by his name. But everybody else, all uncles and aunts. Even though I'm well in my 50s, it doesn't change. On the flip side, the next generation below me, very few of them call me uncle and aunt. So on my wife's side, zero, none of them, because they weren't brought up that way. So none of them call me by uncle and aunt, and my wife aunt. But on my side, some of them do. Yeah, they do actually. On my side, they all still do. So it's just about how you're brought up, I guess. It's not to say that they were bad because they don't call us uncle and aunt. It's just the way they were brought up. Their priorities were elsewhere, I guess. But they were actually brought up just fine. But uncle and aunt wasn't on that list. That's all. Interesting, Jeremy. When I was a teenager and I was into movies, I used to, on a Saturday night, I would usually go for something lightweight because it was late at night and I didn't want to have the ghoulies follow me to sleep. And on a Sunday, I would then watch the more heavier hitting movies during the day. I'm just making my third or fourth way through Inglorious Bastards. Evening, Sam. Um, it's running to large family. Well, um, yes-ish. I mean, siblings-wise, I think my future son-in-law has either 4 or 5 siblings, but their parents come from large families. Yeah. Divorced his boyfriend's very good. I mean, if you watch Mark Wiens, who's a foodie on a food, vlogger on YouTube, when he goes to see any restaurant or anybody who's cooking for him, he calls them uncle and aunt, out of respect. And he may never have met them before in his life. Not a grandpa just yet. Well, we've visited that a few times now. Yeah, Mark Wiens. 36 and 37. Well, either side of midnight, was it? Oh, I see what you mean. They're nearly 37. Great grandpa. Wow. Well, my father is a great grandpa many times over. Many times. Lurker Troy, his great grandson, is almost 2. What are you doing on a computer then? Or a smartphone for that matter? Don't you still do that when you're dialing a phone? You got great grandkids. I guess it depends how often they come around and how quickly you send them back home. Nosferatu. I touched my first computer. When was that? I can remember the exact computer it was that I first abused. I worked in an office for 5 years in a particular real estate business, and this computer, this Amstrad computer, sat in the corner, and I just ignored it. I never turned it on. I never did anything with it. And then one day, I just decided I'm going to use it. I was terrified of the thing. the hard disk, to give you an idea how long it was, the hard disk was 40 megabytes. One of my pictures that I take now on my camera is as big as that. The hard disk was 40 megabytes. An Amstrad. And how long ago was it? It was roughly when I got married. So we're talking about 30 odd years ago. That was the first computer I think I ever used. And my boss at the time was even more scared than I was of it. It was purchased by a previous employee who was into computers. And he knew how to use it, but obviously my boss, who was older than me, didn't know how to use it. My boss, if I'm now 54, he must be in his 70s by now, if not older. But I soon grew out of it and ended up buying a Windows 3.11. Luxury. 3.11. Do you remember Windows? I mean, just going from DOS to Windows, I mean, that was just like going from one planet to another. It was just something else. It took me a long time to get my head around Windows, but once I got it, I was hooked. And then the first Windows machine we got was actually one of these companies, one of these local companies. It wasn't a brand. It was one of these local companies that they built the machine for you. They just bought the skeleton and then bought all the innards, put it together for you. Windows, yeah, paintbrush, still there. But that's the crazy thing about Windows. Paintbrush is still there. It's called Paint now, but it's still there. Speak and spell. Yeah, I think I used the word perfect as well. And one time I remember I was clearing out a property, a warehouse, and there was a little Apple Macintosh machine, one of these little square things with a drive. I think it had a disk drive, but it was an all-in-one kind of machine. The screen and the computer was all together. It wasn't one of these where it had a separate tower. So it was one of these with a small little screen. I don't remember what they were called. And I tried to get my head around it. I'd already gotten used to Windows, and I just couldn't get used to it. And I've tried so many times over the years to use Apple, but I mean, I bought iMacs. You know, with Apple you can buy it and then take it back if you're not happy. I bought big iMac, tried it, took it back. I have actually I have it over here. I have a little Apple Mini, but I run Windows on it. And it's not connected to anything at the moment, but it runs Windows because I just can't get on with Apple. Doom. I used Netscape for a while actually. It's going back a bit. My first foray into internet was with CompuServe. Do you remember that company, CompuServe? I think it was bought over by AOL, I'm not sure. But I used to be with CompuServe. Excuse me. But Doom, I was hooked on Doom. Doom 1 and 2. Doom 2, which for me was the best, I discovered that round about the time when I owned my own computer. I think we were already in this house, so we'd already been married for a few years, and I got hooked on Doom, and I was in the spare room before we had a house full of kids. I was on that every night for a while. It took me a while, but I ended up finishing the game. Finished every level, and I finished it kosher, no cheats. Finished it, and I was relieved when I finished it. But I really did enjoy it. Well, actually, come to think about it, talking about cheats, did I use cheats right at the end? I can't remember. I think I did finish it legit. If I remember correctly, I finished it legit. And it took forever. It took me weeks and weeks of finishing the final level. And when it finished, you got the credits at the end, which I thought was quite cool. It was like the end of a film, a bunch of credits at the end. But yeah, the handshake on the modem was ridiculous. It's like a fax machine, the same noises. If you remember the film Almost Famous, so they have one of these fax machines, that can send pictures or letters. It only takes like 10 hours. Remember that line? Hey Jay. I think this ball is done. I actually really enjoyed that. That was McBrown's vanilla, Latakia roll cake. Yeah, it's a good film, Almost Famous. I enjoyed that. The guy who played the rock star, the lead role in the band, he was really good. Don't remember his name though, and I don't think I've seen him in anything else. Alright, what else do you want to talk about, guys? What are you all smoking? Is that an actual name? Chad? Billy Crudup? If you're into rock, if you like Chad, you'd probably enjoy that movie. Maybe a little bit too kitsch, but still a good movie. I thought there was good music in there as well. Finish that beautiful cigar. I started this on Friday or Thursday night. Puro Larrañaga Galenis. Red carpet? What's red carpet? There's nothing quite like when you first fire up a Cuban cigar. That aroma is just, it's the bomb. Hey Murphy. Your pipes are in the post. We smoked Ahoy de Monterey #1 outside in 37-degree weather. What is that in English? 37 degrees. 37. That's pretty cold, right? Well, all right, Chad. Thanks for joining. Enjoy your dinner. I don't know. Smoking a Cuban cigar out in the cold, I don't know if you're going to get the best out of the cigar. Yeah, I mean, I probably wouldn't smoke an expensive cigar outside in that temperature, but I guess if it's like really still and you can relax, you're on a chair maybe, and you're just relaxing with a hot cup of coffee, maybe it would be nice. I don't know. I've never tried it, I guess, so I guess I should reserve my judgment on that. Yeah, so that's really cold. I mean, you definitely get different experiences with pipes when you smoke outdoors, when you smoke in the hot, in the cold, in the wind. They're all different experiences. Are Cubans really that good? It's subjective, really. You know, there are a lot of people who smoke New World cigars, try a Cuban, and they say, "Nah, what's all the fuss about?" And that's because they're much more subtle than your average New World cigar. But if you're used to Cuban cigars and then you go to New World cigars, most of the time I think most people would prefer Cubans. Yeah, I understand that, Phil. You know, it's what you're used to. Liga Privada is very good. Depends which ones, obviously. You know, you're going to have different ones. But they are good generally. Do I make my coffee in a blender? I've never made the coffee in a blender. I generally don't. What I used to do is froth up the milk in a milk frother. But I don't blend the coffee. I don't really have coffee these days. I miss it a lot, but I have difficulty swallowing hot liquids at the moment. So I haven't had a decent hot cup of coffee in 7-8 months. I do have the milk frother once every so often. I manage maybe to drink about that much, and then I leave the rest. I do miss it though, I must tell you. You made it to silver level at Smoking Pipes. I don't know what that means. Is that if you spend a certain amount of money you get up a level? Didn't even know that existed. I guess I don't buy that enough there. Right. Well, I'm probably going to be buying some cigars soon and having somebody in America send them over to me. It's just not worth the risk anymore, buying stuff and having it sent direct. Thought I'd show you the pipe I'm working on. I told you before I'm working on a large pipe. So it's on the lid at the moment. I've got the 2 pieces of faux ivorite, grade 1, and in between I've got a piece of walnut. That should look very nice. That's going to be on the shank, and tomorrow hopefully we'll get it all shaped up. I haven't decided yet what I'm doing with the bowl. There is some very nice bird's eye on it. So it depends on the cross grain. If there's decent cross grain on there, which I don't think there is, but if there is, I might leave it a classic shape. If not, what I might do is some kind of blowfish type of idea so that it highlights the bird's eye. We shall see. So I'm looking forward to doing that tomorrow. I've got to go out in the morning, but hopefully in the afternoon we'll get it done. Alright, Bournemouth, have a good one. Cheers. Hey Daniel, haven't seen you in a while, hope you're well. JD, just by the way, I don't know if you have a reason to have your caps on. Not that I'm really bothered, but I thought I'd let you know because some people do get triggered by it. Caps is usually shouting. It's like when you're trying to make a point. Now, see, I don't care, but I cared enough to tell you so. There you go. I didn't think you were, JD. Oh, that's good to hear, Daniel. Busy is good. Don't complain about being busy, that's for sure. Well, I think that's it from me, folks. As always, if you want to ask anything, do it now. Caps do set some people off, yeah. And as I say, it doesn't bother me personally, but I thought I'd tell you. Ask for Alan at Smoking Pipes, will take it to gold at 10k. Okay. You need to smoke a pipe. Quite right. Alright, folks. What are we? An hour and a half. Okay. We've done a fair bit tonight. We've had some goody stories tonight as well, which is a bonus. Right. Jeremy, thank you. Oh, hold on, Daniel. How was the cigar you're smoking? And what is the number one suggestion in your opinion choosing a new cigar? 10 parts coffee to 1 part Jameson. Doug, you're such a dude. Enough said, indeed. How to go about getting a new cigar? My suggestion is you go to a cigar emporium of your choice and tell them about some of the cigars that you've already smoked that you liked and some of the ones that you smoked that you didn't like, and then let them guide you. And don't just get one cigar, get 2 or 3, so at least you don't have to keep going back and find something that you like. And hopefully out of those few, you'll find one that you really like. That's my advice. Alright, I'm going to say goodnight, folks. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Troy. Thank you, Piper 1X, X1X, Syed, Yusuf, that is Robert, Baratek, Chip, Sam, JD, lowercase JD, Doug Owen, Look at Troy, Thanasis, Bag, Oscar Flores, Ian Reed, Murphy Peoples, interesting name that. Lefty Me, Poem, Jeremy Viz, I might have said your name already. Daniel Leslie, Bull Moose is gone, Backcountry Pipe. And everybody else, thank you very much. Have a very pleasant evening. Wishing you a wonderful week ahead. No doubt I will see you in between now and the next London calling. But for now, I wish you well. I'll catch you.